Journey to the Cross, Day 39. We have hope because Jesus was willing. It is sad but unavoidably true. One of the marked characteristics of sin is unwillingness. Sin causes us to be unwilling to forgive, unwilling to obey, unwilling to serve, unwilling to trust, unwilling to give, unwilling to make peace, unwilling to be gentle, unwilling to persevere, unwilling to suffer, unwilling to submit, unwilling to sacrifice, unwilling to surrender. And the list could go on and on. We are often unwilling because of the selfishness of sin. Our me-ism puts us in the center. It makes life all about us, our wants, our dreams, our needs, and our feelings. Our struggle with the selfism of sin will not be fully defeated until the sin inside us is no more. So we face a world of difficulty. A marriage can't work if a husband and wife are unwilling to live in self-sacrificing, forgiving love. A parent-child relationship falls apart when the parent is unwilling to be patient and kind, or the child is unwilling to honor and obey. Friendships don't work when the friends are unwilling to give and to serve. The workplace is hard and inefficient if the employer is unwilling to love his worker as he loves himself. Unwillingness to be temperate with food and drink will destroy your health. When we begin to examine our daily lives, it becomes clear that so many of the problems we live with are the fruit of our collective unwillingness to live as our wise and loving Creator has designed us to live. God, in His vast wisdom, knew that the only way to rescue us from our unwillingness and its bitter fruit was to send His Son to be willing to be what we would never choose to be, to do what we would be unwilling to do, to willingly die in our place. This is why the following stop on Christ's journey to the cross is so striking, convicting, and hope-giving. Luke chapter 22, verse 39 to 46. And he came out and went, as was his custom, to the Mount of Olives, and the disciples followed him. And when he came to that place, he said to them, Pray that you may not enter into temptation. And he withdrew from them about a stone's throw and knelt down prayed, saying, Father, if you are willing, remove this cup from me. Nevertheless, not my will, but yours be done. And there appeared to him an angel from heaven, strengthening him. And being in agony, he prayed more earnestly, and his sweat became like great drops of blood falling down to the ground. And when he rose from prayer, he came to the disciples and found them sleeping for sorrow. And he said to them, Why are you sleeping? Rise and pray that you may not enter into temptation. This passage is a clear window into the willingness of Jesus. We find him in the Garden of Gethsemane, facing what would crush any of us. Because he is God, he knows the redemptive plan. He knows he is facing injustice, torture, public ridicule, the cruelest death possible, and the rejection of his Father, all because he is going to load our sin onto his shoulders and pay our penalty. In his humanity, he is quaking at the thought of it all, and he asks if there is any possibility there is another way. Will you stop for a moment and imagine what would be going through your heart and mind if you knew you were facing such horror? You and I get upset at a flat tire, a sassy child, a mean boss, an unexpected bill, or a bad day. We go through a tough patch and we begin to question the goodness of God. But Jesus did not end his prayer with asking to be released from the sacrificial suffering that awaited him. Instead, he said to his Father, Not my will, but yours be done. That final sentence of Jesus' prayer in the garden gives every sinner who ever lived hope. Jesus did not think of himself first. He was not propelled by his own comfort. He did not protect his own rights. He did not demand to be accepted and respected. He willingly forsook all the things that we think are our just due. He forsook those things willingly and without coercion. He was willing because he knew what was at stake, and he knew what the result of his self-sacrifice would be. In that garden there was angst and fear, but there was not a shred of selfishness or rebellion. Jesus knew what he had been appointed to do. He knew what the culmination of his earthly work would be. In his humanity, it was a fearful thing to consider, but he had a submissive, loving, and willing heart. This moment of willingness is a moment of hope for all of us, who, in our sin, have lives that are marked by unwillingness. Our hope in this life and the one to come is never to be found in our willingness to believe in and follow him, but in his willingness to endure suffering and death for us. His willingness unleashes the grace we need to be forgiven and to become more and more willing to lay down our lives for his kingdom and his glory.